portray your how you portray your application, your brand building, your list, college list, where are you going to apply, how are you going to apply, what are you going to tell about yourself, how are you going to position your story. I always like to say that college applications in general have two elements. One is profile development that I'm sure all of us know about, all of us read about, and then there is profile presentation. Both of them are pretty essential, right? You need to tell your story the way it hits hard. You need to tell your story the way these universities want to listen. And I think someone is drawing on the screen. Hey, Sneha, I think accidentally you're drawing on the screen. So just telling you that. So let's move forward to the next slide and see how Maanas got there. So without further ado, on the next slide. Got it.
Yeah,
so,
sure. Hi.
Yeah, over to you, Maanas.
Okay, yeah, great to meet everybody. I apologize in advance. I am feeling a little bit sick for tonight and for today and for the previous few days. So I'm going to keep this a little bit brief. And pardon me if I start coughing in the middle of this. I just wanted to be here and speak a little bit. So I'm Maanas. I'm from Dallas, Texas originally, and now I'm here at MIT. I'm studying a computer science and economics joint major, but really interested in a lot of different subjects. So I'm exploring the CS programs, the economics programs, the math programs, the urban studies programs, the public policy programs. I'm exploring all of those here at MIT. And it's really a special place to be able to make those decisions. I think that it's really exciting to have a place to explore, have such amazing departments in whichever route it is that I decide to take. And I think that that's one of the things that excites me most about being here. We can move to the next slide. Also, if we could erase the board, that would be great.
Got it.
Yeah, so there are a lot of aspects of the Athena program. I joined relatively late, so I didn't have the full Athena experience, but now that I've been through what I have been at Athena, I think I would have loved it. It would have been super, super helpful. I joined, I want to say towards the end of junior year, right, of 11th standard. So I was pretty far along in my own process, but Athena was still super, super helpful. I think the main strength of Athena is its community. The people at Athena are so helpful. You really build personal relationships with your mentor and even the other people across the team. The weekly sessions are so exciting, and you really are able to build close and personal relationships where you're working with people to really reach the best version of yourself. So, there isn't one end goal of XYZ college. It's really, what are you going to do to be a better person? And then maybe that's going to come, usually it does come at the end of the day. So, I think that was the main benefit I got with the Athena team, was having people who are really invested in me and trying to help me be the best person I could be. So this was not just in an academic sense. I was pushed to be better about meeting deadlines, to be better about communication, to be better about thinking creatively, exploring and accepting different aspects of my academic and non-academic interests, right? All of these things were sort of integral to the experience I had at Athena, in addition to a lot of amazing help during the college application process. This included a lot of back and forth about the college list. If you have been through the process, you know that that's a really important part of the whole application season, knowing where you're going to apply and why you're going to apply there. The great thing about Athena is that they were okay with that back and forth. They encouraged that back and forth. We really had very important discussions about individual colleges and honing down that list perfectly. They helped with essays, like I said, accepting sort of and highlighting a lot of different flavors of my personality and interests, rather than just focusing on one thing. I think that that's a hallmark of a lot of people's experience at Athena. And then as well as when interview time came around, I met with Rahul individually with a total last minute reach out saying, I have an interview tomorrow, can we talk? And, Rahul felt close enough with us to not only offer that opportunity in what I was sure was the middle of the night for him, but to be very frank with the advice he was giving, and help me really understand what it is that folks are looking for in the interview, and how to highlight myself rather than just ramble and a little bit like I am doing right now. But Athena really was such a great experience. Again, I apologize that I cannot speak for longer. I think that I would love to share more about my story, but of course the folks here are going to do that. But I am feeling pretty sick.
No worries. Thank you so much, Maanas. I would suggest you give your throat a little rest. I can take this forward for now and give you a gist of what Maanas's profile was like, right? Because when it comes to MIT or any elite top university across the world, what really matters is that, one, how are you using your resources that you have? How are you using your interests, your hobbies, the best way possible to leverage to show that you are making a tangible, measurable impact around people? That is going to be very essential. All universities look at that. How is this kid exceptional? How is this kid doing the thing that we always say, right? Ideas into actions. How are you putting your thoughts to actions? That is going to be pretty essential. So when Manas applied, Manas currently is studying computer science with economics, of course, and a minor in public policy at MIT. When he applied, his academic interests were primarily mathematics and public policy, right? He got really good grades, and like he got fives on so many APs, calculus, AP, BC, computer science, physics, mechanics, biology, and whatnot. Now, if you would look at it this way, all these things, his scores, and Manas says something, MIT's motto in particular is men e manu, mind and hand. How do you take your academic interest to the world and make change? Yeah, and that's pretty true. So if you look at Manas's academic interest, one, these academic combination, mathematics and public policies, are not a very common combination students apply with. And that's interesting because universities in the US really appreciates a liberal artsy culture. They really want you to be able to blend two fields together and produce something new into that. A university like MIT, even if you're applying for computer science, does require humanities recommendation. Why? Even for a computer science humanities recommendation? Because they know that any innovation that will come into the field of sciences also will only come with a blend of other fields with sciences. Science standalone will not create something new. Science, let's say computer science with psychology makes AI, artificial intelligence, right? Your public policy with computer science can actually allow you to open so many different fields, like how standardized things can become. And actually, Maanas did a research project on that, actually a capstone project on that. So we'll talk about that later in the presentation also. But coming back to the academics, universities want to see this thing. Are you capable of handling our course load? Is your course load rigorous enough for you to handle ours? Right? So Manas did that, like with all fives in his APs and his GPA that was 99.394 to be very precise. Out of all these things, what he was showcasing that yes, I have what it takes to get there, and I'm proving that, right? Then when it comes to his capstone project, now you might ask, what is a capstone project? So when it comes to a capstone capstone projects are like the big projects, the projects that actually settle your profile, the projects that actually hold your profile. They are like the foundation and the fundamental element of your profile, right? So they play a very important role in any application or admission process. So in Manas' capstone project, what he did was that he rated different prisons across the US with the help of Federal Bureau of Prisons, right? Across more than 30 data points, 16 factors, he measured that how are these prisons actually responding to COVID-19 pandemic? Like, are they really caring about the prisoners? Have they taken appropriate measures that normal hospitals and public institutions are doing or not? Because he was interested in public policy, this was a very relevant issue at that point of time, COVID-19. And then of course, prisoners are one of the people that government by default needs to take care of, right? So he did that. And once he did made that metrics and everything, he rated all the prisons on these areas. And that allowed him to kind of give a percentage as to which prison is doing how. It was like a grading scale. And he was able to create that metric that allowed the US government and the Federal Bureau of Prisons to see how are these prisons performing and where do these prisons need to actually improve. Now, what did all of this lead to? It led to the fact that prisons now started to actually implement more robust sanitary protocols, more robust COVID protocols, which of course was pretty, I would say, the need of the hour at that point of time. And this was one of the projects that he did. It not only showcased his interest in public policy, but it also showcased how he thinks and again, how he intends to make a difference in the world around him, right? So he did that. Of course, he also started 2020 MIT policy hackathon. He joined like public policy initiative for a nonprofit as an intern and finalized and published this research. That was one of the things that he did. But what else was in his profile that actually kind of was like showcasing his exceptionalness, I would say, right? Now, as I said, all universities, especially in the US, would appreciate you being like a whole, a rounded person, right? But at the very same time, when we talk about extracurriculars, your extracurriculars cannot be in the 10 different directions. Let's go to the next slide, right? When we talk about extracurriculars, we need to make sure that even if you are doing, let's say, 3, 4, 5 activities, all these activities need to make sense together. That is essential. Why? Because end of the day, if universities are assessing your profile and if it does not make sense, they would go like, what is this kid doing? What are they trying to achieve? And many times when we are trying to achieve something like admission, we try to do things the way we think is right. We try to reverse engineer how our uncle's son went there, or how my cousin's uncle's daughter went there, or whatever. But the point would be, what is true for you? What do you do that is unique? How can you be unique? And the point is, you need to start doing things that you know the best. Frankly, that will be the best way. When even from in Maanas' case, he was really good with piano. He was professionally trained in piano. He has performed at the Carnegie Mellon Hall, of course, right? He has won a lot of competitions. He came third in TMSCA state mathematical meet also. So his mathematics, his piano, his interests were public policy, right? And debating, of course, like that's one part of it. All these things were still telling a very cohesive story that this kid is interested in public policy and mathematics and really want to do something different. That is essential, right? And then when we look at other elements, he also did a research. Now that research was, if I give the name, of course, it was around neurological music therapy for physical and psychological well-being among older people in the US. What this research simply did was that he saw how music therapy can actually benefit cognitive, physical, psychological well-being of people around, especially the older people. And if music therapy can actually work and is really working effectively, it would of course be more cost saving, because when a person does counseling, of course the charges and everything is pretty different because there's a human resource. The value is a little more than that, but music is replicable. One CD or CD is a very old thing, but one piece of music can actually be used for many people if they're actually complementing with that kind of music, let's say, right? So that is much more cost effective. So research was also one element that he did in a high school. Now, if you would look at it, he's not doing or making his profile in a very linear way. He's applying for mathematics and public policy. So he's just not doing, let's say, an internship in public policy, maybe do a summer program that from where he will love to know public policy. And like, then uske baad, he's really like just publishing a paper. The point is, all of this is tying into a holistic brand of Maanas, right? A brand that says that, yes, I really do care about things around, and I am doing the best possible I know within the means I have, within the knowledge that I have, to make a change in around people, right? So once he did that, of course, this paper that he did was a really good addition to his profile. Again, the point is, it needs to be cohesive. It needs to come together. Research can be a good addition to your, I would say, profile. And if you're able to use research in a good way, it'll go a long way. So that's what he did. He did this research on music therapy. And after that, he also attended one of the summer programs. That was Hampshire College Summer Studies in Mathematics. He did that. It was a 6-week long program. And this was also showcasing his enormous interest in mathematics, right? That's how we need to start looking at, guys. When you're really looking at building your profile, you really need to start looking at, okay, what do I need to do that will actually, one, make sense, and that will actually take you to the next level. His projects, his even the summer program, his research, all of them were trying to do one thing, that is speak a grand story for himself. And Maanas says that Athena are the ones who pushed me to keep exploring the music therapy research to pull together my profile. Yeah, it is not seeming like a linear profile. I know, I can hear you guys, literally. But that's the point. It does not have to be linear. What it really has to be is to make sense. When you tie it into a brand, when you tell a story, it needs to make sense together. That's what you really need to start doing, right? So that's what the thing is actually. Okay, so now that we are coming to it, I would also like to introduce and tell you about who we are as Athena. What do we do? Where do we come from? And how did Athena come by and how we really work with students? So Athena was started by 2 Princeton graduates, Rahul Subramaniam and Poshak Agarwal. Both of them, of course, went to Princeton. Poshak was from DPS RK and Rahul was from Fremont, California back then. Poshak got a 100% scholarship from Princeton, whereas Rahul gave more than, I would say, 10 APs to show universities that he has the academic rigor. At the very same time, got a perfect SAT score, got accepted into all the Ivies he applied to, and chose Princeton out of them. So that is where they started. Both of them came back to India and started Athena here because they really wanted to change the face of education in India. And I think they're doing that. But not only are these 2 gentlemen the backbone of Athena, but we have a very strong team. And I always like to say this thing, a strong team always has a panel of experts that's guiding them, that's being a light that shows them the path. So to introduce I would say to briefly introduce a couple of our team members, especially the experts, I would start with Dr. Mrityunjay. He is our research head. He has his PhD from Manchester, and he worked with students end to end in all things research. How do you take your profile to the next level? How can this research add value to your profile? What do you need to do in research and helping you do that research end to end? That's what we really work with. One. Then second, of course, Jared. Jared is our creative head. He heads the writing and creative team at Athena. He himself is from Princeton with his major in literature, comes on board with a decade of experience. What he really knows is, what do these universities need to listen? How can you tell your story that will actually have them give you a ear? That is important. So that's what he brings to the table. And Priya. So Priya is our Harvard's admissions consultant. She's been working with Harvard's admissions for more than 15 years. She herself went to Harvard, her kids went to Harvard, and she knows how Harvard thinks of a profile. What is it that they look at? And what do you as a student need to do to make sure you don't have blind spots in your profile that might hinder your chances of admissions? She brings that perspective to the table. And then Nitin sir. Nitin sir is our senior tech mentor. He has been working with IIT, comes on board with a decade of experience. He works with students, all things tech, right? Tech is a very big thing coming up. And he works with all things tech. Athena is also building an in-house robotics lab. We are also, last year, Athena participated in FRC, the first robotics competition. And I think this year we're also going to do that. And that's what we are really aiming at. Give you the students the exposure you guys need. Because what it really would be of is, you need to start playing at a higher level than a normal high schooler. You need to start playing at a level that is not the common level of your friends around you. Because if you want to get into these universities, it takes more effort and you need to be different, right? So them, of course, we have specialists from other fields as well. And that's what we really work with, is to make sure we give you that exposure. We have design and arts person, they are expert in that. We have people from business and economics background, they work with you in all things that. So public policy, whatnot, whatever you would be working with, we would have that resource in house. And the purpose of that is to give you a holistic, a cohesive strategy. Because without a story, your application will be like a soulless thing. And universities want to see your character, your personality in your application. That is pretty important. Now, without further ado, let's go to questions and answers. And I'm sure if you're here, you would be having a lot of questions, and I would be having a lot of them to answer. So please feel free to ask. I would be happy to answer these questions. The stage is all yours. Any questions anyone has?
Hello.
Hi, Bipasha.
So I kind of joined late, so I didn't really get to hear what you said about capstone projects.
So what I was saying about capstone projects are simply that they are fundamental and foundational projects that actually hold your profile together. And in case you missed out the part, I think this recording will also be getting uploaded on YouTube. So feel free to check it out over there. We have also explained Maanas' profile in much more detail, and that will give you a lot of clarity.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome. Tarang says that I have internship experiences, I have community experiences. I'm stuck how to get great essays. Okay. Is there any particular thing you are asking about here, Tarang? How to write essays that inspire? Good question. So how to write essays that inspire? One, you need to be able to showcase your journey, especially the US would look at your journey. What was your transformational journey like? What was your hero's journey like, if I code it that way? Because US Common App essays are not about your technical knowledge, unlike the personal statements for the UK, but they're more about how did you as a student develop? How did you as a student do things and learn out of them? I can show we can definitely show you some examples of essays, but the broad point would be, what was your journey like? What was your learning experience? What did you want to do? How did you explore these 3-4 years of your life? And what did you learn out of them? What are the anecdotes you can pull from your life that will actually help you? Yeah. Can I make small things look huge? That can depend how you're putting them. Because there is only a limited space, we need to be mindful of how we are doing it. But we can definitely work with that. Meanwhile, IS has a question that, hi Maanas, I would like to pursue computer science. So which programming competitions and hackathons would you recommend? Okay. So which programming hackathon, if you're looking at computer science, what part of computer science would you be interested in? Let's say if you're looking at robotics, it can be WRO. If you're playing at an India level, that is one of Olympiad you can work with. There is, in case you're looking at robotics, then there is FRC, as I told about, first robotics competition. Those things are pretty nice because they literally, they happen on a worldwide level, and you can actually take your skills to another level if you're actually participating in them. It's not as much about winning them, it's much more about having that experience working in that way, right? And we can what we can do essentially is we can recommend you some actual hackathons that maybe you can do depending on what particular computer science field you are interested in after the session, for sure. And Mr. Evan Chawla asks, would like to know Maanas SAT score, and also he gave APs? Yes, sir, he gave APs. Maanas's SAT score was above 1501 or 1551. And second, when it comes to APs, yes, he gave many APs, and he scored 5 on them. In case you want to know, he gave calculus BC, he gave calculus AB. computer science A, physics, mathematics, chemistry, biology, physics, one, English language, and so forth, like many more. So that was one thing he definitely did. And Pratham has question, is it safe to apply test optional to universities this fall? It is optional by default for many universities, though what we really recommend is if you do take the test, that actually can add a lot of value to your profile, because universities want standardization. Your school marks, everything has a variability, I would say, right? Everything is different. Your board marking, subjects, syllabus is different. Hence, they are not able to see you on the same scale as every student applying from the US, Dubai, Hong Kong, Shanghai, anywhere. So they need to be able to have a stronger ground. For that, SAT, ACTs are pretty good. So if you're able to take them and you're scoring good, that's cool. If you're not able to take them, that's also fine. But MIT has made SAT mandatory this year onwards, and I'm sure many universities will follow suit pretty soon. So if you're making, it's like making a legal case. The more data points you can give them in your favor, the better. How did Maanas zero on his capstone project? Okay, so when we work with a student, that was something we actually came in for, was that when Maanas joined us, our process is that we get to know a student first, because that's the foremost thing we really want to do with kids, to get to know them. Once we have a sense of what the kid really wants, what brings you joy? What about society angers you, right? We want to know all these things. Once we had a sense of what Maanas wanted to do, of course, we had a discussion with him. And when we had a discussion with him, we bounced off these ideas, and that's where we really shine, is to ideate these projects for you. We've been working with so many kids, and we have so many people from different diverse backgrounds, that it's just not one person's brainchild, it's a team effort that comes out. So we ideated that project with him, ran by him, he really liked it. So we made an execution plan, we started working on him with that. Cool. Tanjil asks, hello, I wanted to speak to Athena and seek some advice. I did sign up for the calendar, however, I would like possibility to speak someone today. Hey, Tanjil, thank you for asking this question. What I would rather do is after the session, maybe I'll just connect with you and take your query. Cool. Adi J asks, hey, can we know more about Athena? Like, how can we join? Definitely. So at Athena, the process is that in case you are interested in getting to know about the college application process, what does it take overall? So we always do these sessions in the week. You can register for them and attend them. Those sessions will give you a lot of information. We call them Athena Education Counseling sessions. And I think maybe we can share the list over here only, share the link over here once in case you do want to attend that. And then there is an application you need to fill. You go through an interview, and after the interview, then is the final process of enrollment. So that is something we would already be sending. So once this session finishes, since you have attended, we would be sending you the application form and brochure also. The next steps would be to fill out the application, go through the interview, we'll connect with you, answer all your questions, and whenever you're ready, we'd be happy to take things forward. Then Tarang asks, can 1420 SAT get you to best public IVs like UC Berkeley, UT Austin? On a thumb rule, I would say it's difficult because of a 1420 universities, and it will also depend on what major you're applying for. If you're applying to Berkeley with an economics major, 1420 will not cut it. Even 1500, you need to be at least closer to 1550 and above to get Berkeley with economics. Berkeley with economics with at least a 1550 as close as possible. So that being said, of course, there are cases that sometimes it does happen. Even Princeton has accepted people with 1470 also. So I'm not saying it's undoable, but we really would have to see how and what major are we looking at and what's your profile like to give you a realistic idea of the same.
Yeah, so Nicole asks, do we need to explain why we are going test optional?
Do you need to explain why you're going test optional? No, by principally no. But I think you might, in case you do want to do that, you can. Universities give you this additional section space in which you can explain or give them any information that you might not have been able to give. across the limited area, like essays, activity lists, your supplements and everything. So in case you do want to do that, you can.
And Pratham is asking, what are the wow extracurricular activities? Can an intern be a wow factor?
Got it. That's a nice question. So what are the wow extracurricular activities? I can tell you what are the not so wow extracurricular activities. Debatings, MUNs, quizzes, things like maybe NTSC. I think in student, I don't know if they do that currently or not, but those things. Why I'm saying that, I'm not saying these things are inherently not wow. But the point is that unless you are so good that you're playing at a national level, you are still out of so many people, because there are so many schools and every school does these things, MUN, debating, quizzes. So even if you're good in school, you are still one in like lakhs of people. That is not making you different. Wow, extracurricular, there is no particular set of activities that is wow. The point is how you use your extracurricular is what will make the things wow. Are you using, again, it boils down to one basic principle again. Are you using your extracurricular to meaningfully engage with the people around you? Or are you using that extracurricular as a hobby, as an interest, as a leisure, and that's it? Are you using that extracurricular to make a tangible, measurable impact or not? Maybe that can be your guiding factor. That'll help you. And in case of internship, can it be a wow factor? It'll depend on what are you doing in that internship. If you are literally working with a team, helping them, let's say, develop something or doing a research on something, you are taking ownership of that and you are taking that to the next level, then it's a wow factor. But in case you're just working there, spectating what is happening and maybe just contributing in and out, cool, may not be such a wow factor.
So,
With internships, particularly, this is the case that what you do in an internship is what matters instead of where you do it.
so I have a question again.
Sure.
So I'm hoping to pursue computer science, and I have an internship in a UI UX designer, which is a part of computer science, as we know. So I'm a UI designer manager, and I've been working on some projects like on one project we have recently launched last month, and now I'm working on another project which we are going to launch next year. Is that a wow factor for me? Because I made 80 plus UI designs for them, and we conducted meetings for them, what new ideas, what we can change in what change in designs and
I think someone else is also unmuted. Yeah, can you mute them? Miss Acharya, I think you are accidentally unmuted. Got it.
Yes,
Sorry,
sir,
please continue.
yes, sir. That's what I want to say.
So you're applying for undergrad?
Yes, sir.
You're applying for undergrad. Let's do one thing, Pratham. Let's take this conversation offline also. But I would say that currently that you have done a couple of projects and you are already working in an internship with UI UX. Let's see to what extent have you done that, and maybe then also use your internship experience to build onto something that will be more unique, more to you. Because currently
For
you're
example?
learning a lot of those things in that internship, right?
Yes, sir.
I think now it's more of a time to apply what you are doing in that internship in a way that you can actually do your own thing.
Yes.
That'll be a good thing at this point of time. Which grade are you in?
I'm 12th grade.
You're
And
currently
I'm
in 12th.
hoping, yes, and I'm hoping to take a gap year if I don't get in my dream school. So, yeah, that's
Okay,
what I want.
that's fair. Cool. Bipasha says, do we need to write research papers under our school or some particular organization, or can we write it ourselves? If so, how do we publish them? You can do it under your school or your particular organization or yourselves also. And how to publish them is that you literally have to go to the journal, see what are the requirements, how do they want that, fill those out, or in case you have any questions, you can ask them and they'll give you, and then you can apply for publication also. You can do it however you want, but at Athena, what we really do is we work with students end to end with these researchers, helping them firstly ideate what research question to choose, what is the research problem, then helping them do the research end to end. How do you collect the data? How do you analyze the data? How do you make inferences and conclusions out of it? Helping them cover the literature end to end entirely, right? So we do all of that. And then of course, help you write it in a more formalized paper manner, and then sending it out for publications. So we do all of that. And yes, Mikul, Berkeley is test blind. UCs are test blind for that matter. So you declare UCs may result your SAT or not will not make a difference, hardly. It will hardly make a difference because UCs are particularly test blind. MIT versus Stanford for CS. Good question. MIT versus Stanford for CS. Cool. What is the particular question in there? Till the time Adi responds to this question, I'll take Muskan's. Hi, can you please elaborate when you said we need to be on a higher level than your friends group? Does that imply academic? Does that apply academically? One, yes, it does apply academically. Universities have this internal ranking. What they look at is, are you as a student in the top 10% of your class or your batch or not? Because if you are, that is a good advantage to have. Nonetheless, if you're not, it will not be a disadvantage. But if you are, that will add a lot of value to your profile because they want the best of the best students. And the best, or I would say the quickest way to find that if you are the best of the best or not is to see if you are in the top 10% of or not, of people or not. So one thing is that, but apart from that, when I said you need to be at a higher level than your friends group or your schoolmates, is that you need to, I would say, stop doing things that is like a normal school kid does. Like school clubs or your, let's say, leadership positions in school are really, really nice. But what they also want to see, where is your initiative? How are you going extra mile beyond the school? How are you using your extracurriculars that are outside of the school? Of course, you can engage school in that or use your school friends' help over there. But you need to, let's say, so a basic example is many students who are studying IB, they say that we have this theory of knowledge. We already are doing a research. Isn't that enough? That is good. But then look at it from this way. How many kids along with you are doing that a research in the same format? That will not make you as different. That's where I say you need to start doing things a little. So that is where the thing is. You need to go a little mile extra for yourself. That's where the thing comes into play. And then I have the question from Pratham. He says that, is chemistry major competitive in terms of admissions for top universities like Princeton, Stanford, Berkeley? I would say yes. Since you are taking the name of the universities like that are the best, so yes, the chemistry major is competitive, definitely. Mikul, isn't going test optional an automatic assumption that you have a low score? Yeah, so I have with myself Jared also here, Jared, our creative head. Let me just, have you joined the link? Okay, so Jared is also just joining in and he would also be giving his inputs, but yes, it can be compared to that. Like, because universities go like, if you have a good STD score, why would you not want to flaunt it? Or why would you not want to like declare it to us? So going test optional can have that kind of repercussion.
There was a statistic recently that I saw when it said something about every school releases their class profiles, right? The students who got in the past year, right? And it said, I think around 70% of students who had gotten into places like, Ivy Leagues and so forth had submitted their SAT scores. So the expectation is that it's more required than it truly is optional.
Got it. Okay, then Bipasha has this question. How do we do internships in India as a high school student, considering there aren't many options for high schoolers? Fair question. One, how do you do those internships? When it comes to options, Bipasha, what I would say is the fact that this is where your ingenuity would also come into place. How are you what internship are you looking at? What companies or what places are you looking to intern into? In case you're looking at NGOs or nonprofits, those are much easier to find. But in case you're looking at a more established place, let's say, what if you do an internship, let's say in a robotics lab? What if you work in, let's say, there are places, depending on what major you're applying to, there are institutions which are providing internships. Niti Aayog provides internships for students who want to go into public policy, economics, and whatnot. People do internships with DRDO who are interested in aeronautical engineering, aerospace, right? So there are institutions which provide internships. All you need to do is to find those places and start approaching them, and then see what are their requirements and how can you best possibly leverage your knowledge, show them that you can add value as a student to them, and you want to learn from them, and they are the best place to learn from. So this kind of an approach will help you find those. And we, of course, have a database of places in which you can actually intern. So once you join in, of course, we share all of these things with you as well, so that you also need to always not keep looking up. We'll help you find those places, we'll help you approach those places, and we'll help you get in there as well, whatever it takes. Okay, so there is this question by Kuhu: is it feasible to prepare for JEE in India seriously, along with SATs, APs, and preparing good application package for the US? Well, that's a question, I would say, and the answer to that is US university applications versus JEE preparations are two different boards. You are in 9th grade, 10th grade, of course, these boards will be sailing pretty much close to each other. But as you start going into your higher grades like 11th and 12th, these boards would start going on different places. And you would be there standing with 1 foot on one and the other on the other. So that is where I think, and we always suggest students who are coming to us with an intention of going to JEE that please make a choice, because these two are different paths. JEE is pretty competitive as well, and so is US schools. I would say JEE is more competitive than US schools. And unless you're going into top 5 of IITs across India, you are like, I would say you would get a much better chance in a US college. Top US universities, even top 20s of the US would be way far better than not so top 5 IITs of Delhi. Sorry, IITs of India. Because then you are not able to differentiate yourself, right? So you need to look at it this way. Yes, it can help you in some level to the academic rigor, but then of course your timelines will start coming into clash with everything. And the commitment of time that is required for JEE is much more different, and the kind of skills you need to build for JEE are much more different than what you need to build for US applications. How can you provide for all? How can we provide proof for all extracurriculars? 1, your essays will do that. 2nd, your activity list will do that. 3rd, your LORs will do that. 4th, you would be giving an interview where you will be mentioning all those things. And then there is additional section in the application that will actually do that. So there are multiple ways you can put your profile forth. And yeah, anything I missed out?
Those are the big points.
Cool. Tarang asks, if I apply to 10 schools, what will be your recommendation? Provide a 1400 plus SAT score, wow internships, and a great essay. Please include safe schools in this. What was the question?
So you have only 10 schools that you can choose. Is that what you're saying? And you want to know whether you should submit your scores, right, in that 1400 territory, as well as.
Oh, I think he's asking what schools can we apply with a 1400 SAT, wow internships, and great essays.
I see.
I would say that's a very open-ended question, Tarang, because, and it would be a little unwise of us to actually say the names here, but because 1, we do not know the major you're applying for. 2nd, we do not know the extent of your internships and essays and everything else. So let's take this conversation offline, because that will be a much, I would say, much more pointed approach, and we can give you the personalized feedback over there. Rashmi asks, to what extent does innovation-based national awards help your chances to get into MIT? Okay. Now, when you talk about innovation-based national awards, so 1, you will have to see on what grounds are they, and in what field are they? If because MIT is the premier institute for computer science and allied things, but if in case you are, let's say, looking for to go and study history at MIT, that is a totally different ball game. So I think what would rather be is the fact that if you're doing these, if you're getting these awards, innovation-based awards, national awards, so you would have good chances because that's a good external validation. That's also one of the things universities look at is how have your extracurriculars performed, and you want external validation to show for that. Let's say you are starting a blog. How many people read your blog? How many people subscribe to your blog? You have made an app. How many people have downloaded that app? You have rolled out a product. How many people bought that product and what money did you raise out of it? So all of these things are external validations. So national, innovation-based national awards are really good add-ons, definitely, and can actually add value to your application, irrespective of if you're applying to MIT or to any other college for that matter. Is writing and self-publishing a book a wow extracurricular for universities? Well, I think Jared.
Depends on the recognition that your book is received. Right? If you produce something that's just on your own and no one's bought the book and you paid for it, you know, maybe with mom or dad's money, right? And, you know, it's just sitting on a shelf somewhere, probably not so much. If you somehow did a self-published book that became a New York Times bestseller, well, we'd be having a very different conversation.
Yep. There's this question, I think, Jared, you would be the right person to answer, is that how should we go about planning our supplementary essays, assuming we are applying for early? What should be the timeline?
Now. Do not wait. It is September 24th. You have literally about a month and a week, almost exactly. So strategy-wise would be, you know, think smart. That's what we tell our students. We tell them to, you know, generally give your energy to the ones that matter most to you, certainly, while at the same time, you know, making sure that you have maybe some reach colleges, some colleges that you know that you're very likely to get in, and have a good bit of balance that you will find out later in the season, as early as really, you know, December, you know, middle December, where you at least stand, right? And in terms of actually writing them, it would be thinking in terms of type. That's what we really emphasize a lot. Some essays are very similar, right? Why do you want to attend this university? That comes up in most schools, in fact, right? It makes sense to have some sort of response that you can, you know, adjust and tailor, okay, to each different school, while still making sure that it really truly fits that university, right? And they feel like it's special for them, right?
Got it. This is one question. I think this question is asking this one thing, that if I apply for a major and I get in, can I change my major?
So it depends by the school, certainly. You have more flexibility at certain places than others. You have more flexibility at certain programs than others, even within the same school, right? But the big difference, I would say, is between the states and roughly the rest of the world, right? There is just a huge emphasis in states on a liberal arts education, right? We say this all the time because they say it all the time, right? You are free to change your major, to change your mind, right? You do not have to declare a major often as late as sophomore year, right? The end of sophomore year. For us at Princeton, we didn't decide until roughly, I think it was March, April of that year, right? That's just the way that the system works. It is a complete paradigm shift from the way it is in India, from the way it is in the UK, continental Europe, right? Even Canada to a large extent, right? They're saying, throw that out, okay? Study what you want to do and be open, right? Learn as much as you can, learn as much as you want, okay? Certain programs like maybe computer science at certain institutions, these are primarily more the public institutions that have a little more of a rigid type of policy, excuse me. They do actually accept students with a specific major. If it's a competitive one like computer science, right? It's a little harder, yes, to switch in or switch out. But computer science at a Princeton, computer science at, geez, a Duke, right? Rather open-ended. All right. One of my best friends back in college, she started Princeton as an English maybe. She thought maybe she'd do neuroscience. And, you know, after maybe middle sophomore year, she had taken a computer science course or two. And she decided, I think I want to do that. And she took more courses. She fulfilled the requirements. She graduated near the top of her class in the computer science department. And she is now at Carnegie Mellon doing a PhD. That was never her original plan. She did not try to sneak into the system because she didn't have to. That's not the way the system works.
Cool. This is one question I think that he's asking, that does YouTube channel with 100K subscribers good for MIT? Well, it's like, what are you doing on that channel? That will become very important. If you're just reviewing memes on the channel and then you're applying to MIT for let's say a major like computer science, not helpful. But if you're literally doing something very computer science centric, let's say you are reviewing new technological advancements that are coming in and are giving your opinions on how do you think that would impact the future for next 10 years of technology, and then you have 100K subscribers, then we're talking, right? So what you are doing in that YouTube channel will be more important than just 100K subscribers. Okay, then, and this is one question, that is getting a great score at IMO, IPO, or any other international Olympiads look good for MIT? They look good for you, definitely. I would say that for MIT, see, MIT is the I would say the best college you can get into if you're wanting for computer science or any other for that matter. The point would be all these things, like an Olympiad, doing an Olympiad is a good thing. What would really move the needle is you, let's say, getting a national international ranking, a good national international ranking. That is when you're talking. Participation versus achieving a score or a rank are two different things. So MIT would look at if you scored, let's say, even if you did, let's say, AMC, right? If you took that and then you, let's say, scheme, let's say number even 10th in the national India, that's a good thing, right? So one, which Olympiad are you taking, how competitive that is, where are you scoring onto that, and how is that aligning to your pursued major or your profile? All of these things will have to tie in together. Should I give importance to Olympiad or extracurriculars? Should you give importance to food or water? So I would say that's the question. To both. Not Olympiads particularly. See, extracurriculars, Olympiads are a part of the extracurriculars. They're not a separate category. One. Second, the point is, what will move the needle? You need to look at that. Is this activity giving me a 20% marginal return, or is this activity giving me a 30 or 40% marginal return? When you have already done a summer program, will doing an internship make more sense? Or using your learning from that summer program and creating a small project out of it and doing that, will that make more sense? So see it that way. What is the return on your time invested? Is that good enough or not? Look at it that way. And I think Sneha is sharing, please do fill out the feedback form for this session. We would love to know what worked and what did not, especially because our motto is to be better than yesterday, and to be that, we really need to know how it worked out for you. What is your feedback so that we can improve? But yeah, so I think we are already coming around to the end of the session. And before the session finishes, just would like to inform you to take things forward. We would be emailing you our application form, our brochure. Feel free to revert back to it in case you have any questions. You can reach out to us anywhere over email, WhatsApp. Even now at times calls also work. So all these things are pretty fine, and we would be